Surprised by Joy, The Shape of My Early Life is an autobiographical work by C.S. Lewis in which he recounts his early life, educational experiences, and the spiritual journey that eventually led him to Christianity. The book is structured around the theme of joy, a profound, transcendent experience that Lewis sought throughout his life. This longing, which he describes as a sense of yearning for something beyond the physical world, serves as the central motif of the narrative. As Lewis states, all joy reminds. It is never a possession, always a desire for something longer ago or further away or still about to be. Early childhood. Lewis was born in Belfast, Northern Ireland in 1898. He fondly recalls his early childhood as a time of wonder and imagination. He and his older brother Warren created an elaborate imaginary world called Boxen, filled with anthropomorphic animals and heroic adventures. These early creative endeavors fostered Lewis's love for storytelling and literature. He recalls, "I was living almost entirely in my imagination." His mother, Flora, was a significant influence in his early years, nurturing his intellectual curiosity and encouraging his love for reading. Her death from cancer when Lewis was just 9 years old marked a profound turning point in his life. The loss of his mother shattered the secure and joyful world of his early childhood, leading to a period of deep grief and confusion. Lewis poignantly writes, "With my mother's death, all settled happiness, all that was tranquil and reliable, disappeared from my life." Education and intellectual growth. Following his mother's death, Lewis was sent to boarding schools, experiences he describes with a mixture of disdain and reflection. His first school, Wynyard, was run by a sadistic headmaster whom Lewis calls Oldie. The brutal and oppressive atmosphere of the school stifled his intellectual and imaginative growth. Lewis's father, Albert, seemed distant and unable to provide the emotional support Lewis needed during this turbulent period. Lewis's experiences at his next school, Cherbourg House, were somewhat better, though still far from ideal. He found some solace in his studies and continued to indulge in his love for reading. It was here that he first encountered the works of Beatrix Potter, whose stories left a lasting impression on him. His subsequent education at Malvern College was also challenging. The school's rigid and competitive environment, combined with Lewis's growing sense of alienation, made it difficult for him to thrive. However, it was during this time that he began to develop a more critical and questioning mindset. A significant turning point in Lewis's intellectual development came when he was tutored by W.T. Kirkpatrick, whom he affectionately referred to as the Great Knock. Kirkpatrick was a rigorous and demanding teacher who emphasized logic, reason, and the pursuit of truth. Under Kirkpatrick's mentorship, Lewis honed his skills in critical thinking and argumentation. This period of intense intellectual training laid the foundation for Lewis's future academic and literary achievements. He recalls, "My debt to him is incalculable. His uncompromising demands for clarity and precision made me a real thinker for the first time." The quest for joy. Throughout his early life, Lewis experienced fleeting moments of intense, almost mystical longing and joy. These moments, which he describes as joy, were often triggered by literature, nature, or music. For instance, he recalls a moment of profound longing while reading Squirrel Nutkin by Beatrix Potter, and another while gazing at a miniature garden created by his brother. Lewis believed these experiences pointed to something beyond the material world, a yearning for a transcendent reality. However, his rational and intellectual pursuits often conflicted with this deep-seated spiritual longing. Despite his growing skepticism, these experiences of joy continued to haunt him, serving as a persistent reminder of something he could not fully understand or explain: atheism and spiritual struggles. As a young man, Lewis embraced atheism, influenced by his intellectual environment and personal experiences. He was particularly affected by the apparent randomness and suffering in the world, which seemed incompatible with the existence of a benevolent deity. He viewed the universe as a cold, meaningless place, and saw religion as a comforting but false illusion. "I maintained that God did not exist. I was also very angry with God for not existing." During his teenage years, Lewis's atheism became more entrenched. He was influenced by the works of authors like H.G. Wells and Bertrand Russell, who reinforced his materialistic and rationalistic worldview. Despite his atheism, the experiences of joy continued to challenge his beliefs. He found himself in a constant struggle between his rational convictions and his deep-seated longing for something more. World War I and Oxford. Lewis's experiences during World War I further shaped his views on life, suffering, and the human condition. He enlisted in the British Army and served as an officer in the trenches of France. The horrors of war left a profound impact on him, deepening his sense of the world's brutality and meaninglessness. He was wounded in battle and spent time recovering in a military hospital, where he had ample time to reflect on his experiences and beliefs. After the war, Lewis resumed his studies at Oxford University, where he excelled academically. He was awarded a scholarship to Oxford and pursued studies in classics, philosophy, and English literature. His time in college was pivotal, as he formed lasting friendships with other intellectuals and writers, including J.R.R. Tolkien. These relationships played a crucial role in his eventual conversion to Christianity. The turn towards theism. Despite his firm atheism, Lewis's intellectual and spiritual journey led him towards theism. He began to see that his experiences of joy were not meaningless, but pointed towards a deeper, transcendent reality. Through his readings and discussions with friends, Lewis started to see the possibility of a rational, coherent belief in God. One significant influence was the Christian author George MacDonald. Lewis discovered MacDonald's works during his recovery from illness, and they had a profound impact on him. MacDonald's depiction of a benevolent, loving God resonated with Lewis's deepest longings and provided a new perspective on the nature of reality. Another important influence was G.K. Chesterton, whose writings challenged Lewis's materialistic worldview. Chesterton's wit, wisdom, and robust defense of Christianity made a deep impression on Lewis, leading him to reconsider his atheistic beliefs. Lewis realized that his longing for joy was a signpost pointing towards God, the source of all truth, goodness, and beauty. He writes, "A young man who wishes to remain a sound atheist cannot be too careful of his reading." Conversion to Christianity. Lewis's conversion was a gradual process marked by intense intellectual and spiritual struggles. He first moved from atheism to a belief in a personal God, which he describes as the most reluctant convert in all England. This initial conversion to theism was followed by a further step towards Christianity, influenced by his discussions with Tolkien and Hugo Dyson. In 1931, during a late-night conversation with Tolkien and Dyson, Lewis's intellectual and imaginative barriers to Christianity began to break down. They discussed the nature of myth and its relationship to truth, and Tolkien argued that the Christian story was the true myth, a myth that not only resonated with human experience but was also historically and spiritually real. This conversation was a turning point for Lewis, helping him to see the Christian narrative in a new light. Lewis writes, "Now the story of Christ is simply a true myth, a myth working on us in the same way as the others, but with this tremendous difference that it really happened." Lewis's final step towards faith occurred during a bus ride to the Whipsnade Zoo. He describes how, during the journey, he moved from belief in a general theistic God to belief in Jesus Christ as the Son of God. This moment marked the culmination of his long and complex spiritual journey. Lewis's conversion was not a sudden, dramatic event, but a gradual unfolding of understanding and acceptance. Reflections on joy and faith. Surprised by Joy ends with Lewis's reflections on the nature of joy and its role in his life. He concludes that joy is not an end in itself, but a signpost pointing towards God. Through his intellectual and spiritual journey, Lewis discovered that true joy can only be found in a relationship with God through Jesus Christ. Lewis distinguishes between joy and mere pleasure or happiness. Joy, as he describes it, is a deep, intense longing for something beyond the physical world, a sense of yearning for a transcendent reality. This longing, which he experienced throughout his life, was ultimately fulfilled in his relationship with God. He states, "I sometimes wonder whether all pleasures are not substitutes for joy." He also reflects on the role of suffering and hardship in his spiritual journey. The loss of his mother, the brutality of his school experiences, and the horrors of war were all significant challenges that shaped his worldview. However, these experiences also contributed to his search for meaning and truth, leading him towards a deeper understanding of life and the reality of God. He writes, "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Conclusion. Surprised by Joy is a powerful testimony to the interplay of reason, imagination, and spiritual longing in the search for truth. Lewis's journey from atheism to Christianity is portrayed with honesty, intellectual rigor, and profound insight. The book provides a detailed account of the factors and experiences that influenced his beliefs, offering readers a glimpse into the complex and multifaceted nature of faith. Through his narrative, Lewis emphasizes the importance of intellectual honesty, the pursuit of truth, and the role of imagination in understanding reality. His experiences of joy, which he initially struggled to understand, ultimately led him to a deeper and more fulfilling relationship with God. Surprised by Joy is not only an autobiographical account of Lewis's early life, but also a philosophical and spiritual exploration of the nature of joy and its significance in the human experience. It is a compelling and inspiring read for anyone interested in the nature of faith, the search for truth, and the complexities of the human soul. Lewis's reflections on his spiritual journey provide valuable insights into the challenges and rewards of seeking a deeper understanding of our existence. His story serves as a reminder that the pursuit of truth and the experience of joy are integral parts of the human experience, pointing us towards a greater, transcendent reality. As always, thank you for watching. And don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe for more content for the soul. God bless and take care.